Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to clarify something a little bit. Once in a while you do jump to conclusions. I thought that, well, I know they're up to something. But the overnight rate, I calculated it wrong, I think. Some other numbers involved in it and everything, and they know what it is anyway. But I don't think I got it correct. But anyway, listen, I was in my exuberance. I thought I figured it out. Well, maybe I didn't. But, guys, I know that they're up to something no good. The bankers. They've been up to stuff, no good stuff, and it's never good for us. It's always good for them. They've been up to stuff ever since they installed the central bank way back in 1914. It's been just, for bankers, it's been money to the sky and back again. Anyway, listen, I want to talk about something else. So that program, with that 18.25%, I think I was wrong about that. Okay, so don't take that as gospel truth. But I'm not often wrong on this show. Once in a while, I get something wrong. It's a very complicated system. They make it complicated so they can bamboozle us out of our money. We've seen our standard of living drop and drop and drop and drop and drop. Now they're offering us a candy or a reward. Here, we're going to give you guys so much a month. If you got kids, we'll give you $300 a month, and on it goes, right? And a lot of people are calculating that in their head, and they're saying, hey, this is better than if I'm working at a menial job. Like a job where I'm only making like $8, $9, $10 an hour. And they're quitting en masse in the United States. They're quitting now. I did a show on Delta Report about how they're quitting, and I didn't elaborate on the ramifications of that. I did the show, and a lot of people were a little bit disappointed. They said, "Oh, is that all? Is that all it's about?" To me, it was huge. It was huge. The fact that millions of Americans are quitting their jobs and just going home and living off of government handouts. There's an old song that they produced years ago. It goes like this. How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they've seen Perry? Well, they're talking about Paris, And they're talking about like a young man, maybe he works on the farm and everything and feeding the pigs and slopping the cows and all kinds of different jobs he does, menial labor. And then he goes to Paris and he goes into the big bars or whatever, and there's can girls and there's lots of champagne and everything else. He comes back to the farm. He don't want to do that shoveling the poop anymore. His dad says, hey, get in there and clean out the cow stall. And he's like, well, I've been to Paris now, Bop. So that's where the song come from. How you going to keep them down on the farm after they seen Paris? Well, here what we have is a situation where a lot of people have went home and haven't been working during COVID and everything, and they've been getting a paycheck from the government for unemployment or whatever, else, and child support payments and all kinds of different payments, and they're making more money than they're making when they're working. And it's like seeing Paris. How are you going to get them back to work? Now, a lot of them are quitting. Massive amounts. I mean, millions. We're talking millions of people here. You probably noticed it if you went to your local Burger King or whatever, or someplace like that. But what if it continues? What if that continues? And it starts to actually cut into, like, you go to the grocery store and there's only one employee in there. It's like, and he's running around the store trying to keep the whole store going because they can't get anybody to work. And everybody's left and went home, What if it starts to extend out to stores like grocery stores and stuff, or even your local Walmart, and they can't hire any new people and all the people they have are quitting? You see the implications for this? Then what's the government going to say? They're going to say, well, we're going to have to cut back on their We're going to have to get them back to work, and the only way we can figure to get them back to work is to cut out all these social programs. Well, let's see you try. Once they've been to Paris and they've tasted the wine, and the good times, how do you get them back without them getting very angry? Are you going to give it to John and not give it to Jim? The payments? People are going to get upset, and rightly so, very upset. And we're talking millions of people here. If they try to cut them back. And if they do cut them back, what would that do to the economy? So at this point, this stage in the game, it's a very difficult thing to say, hey, get them back to work by not giving them any money. Not give them any money, they'll starve, and maybe all the jobs will just suddenly disappear anyway because the economy's collapsing. I see this as just part and parcel of the collapse of the empire. Same sort of things happened in Rome during the collapse of Rome. Except there's a big difference back when Rome collapsed. You could go through the city in Roman times. You find that every person in there just about knew how to do food production and stuff. What I mean by that is they knew how to churn butter and they knew how to plow a field. Not back in those days. They used to use a horse-drawn oxen. I think they used to use to draw. They knew all these things, and they had all these things. They had a population out in the countryside. That the small farms and everything else for the people that lived in Rome to go to when the empire collapsed. Had some place for them to be able to go where they could get food and stuff. But now, what do we got in our modern society? Well, we got these big, enormous agricultural farms, the farms might be like 20,000 acres or sort of thing, you know what I mean? And it's all run by a big corporation that owns it or whatever, and we don't have all these small farms dot in the countryside or anything. So the system, the way we've created it, the way it's been created over the last 100 years or so, has basically, it's not got any redundancy left into it, you know what I mean? In a collapse. To provide for us, is what I'm trying to say. Unlike the Roman Empire, the people back in those days were totally different. They lived off the land. Now we've got people who live off of a cell phone, basically. They live off of their communication has become the big thing. And technology has become the big thing. People can't survive it. They can't even survive without their meds. So we got a situation, So what I wanted to do this show for, really, is to tell you guys that I don't think I calculated that right. I don't think they're getting the 18.25%. But there's something going on with them. They're up to something. I just haven't figured out what it is. I don't. In other words, what I'm telling you guys is I don't trust them, and they never do things in our benefit. They always do things in their benefit. They control the way things fall into what they want, not what's good for us out here. In other words, we're in the trenches. And what are they? They're up in the ivory tower. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.